Hello and welcome. Today's date, that comes in that of the 16th day of January 2020. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel where, like always, all bets, trades, and of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. All right. It's 6:58 p.m. Eastern time, and I thought, you know what, let's just check the markets. And I'm just minutes of knowing that, hey, Tezos is up near 12% so far, and interesting, nice little move. I've yet to look at the short-term time frame, but as I bring this chart up, it's obvious you can see how like the trends from this high, like the ups up from the key low and key high. This doesn't do anything to say we're going to start a new high, and we're going to work for the new high. This is the low from this one. It's only gotten up to the 18. This is merely an attempt to flatten this out. And I want to talk a little about Fibonacci. This is a 23.6 level, 38.2%. And here's a spot where it worked out to be a 50%. And I've heard people talking about, it's a 50% Fibonacci retracement, which I don't know how 50% is calculated on Fibonacci level. Yeah, it's a 50% retracement, and its importance, it's significant. So when I see something like this, a 50% retracement that manages to come up to this point in here, it's one of two: failed breakdown or resisting key previous support to next key area. So therefore, on the failed move, that means it's going to hold, and it's probably not going to spend too much time in the area of around holding 1600 and resisting probably around wherever this establishes, which would be, we can tell just by these highs in here, would be between 1700 and 1800. Right now the high thus far in at 1764. But it probably wouldn't spend too much time, I don't think, within it, if it's going to be this failed breakdown in here. And then, of course, you probably have a fast, decent size, concise move higher, sort of like this was a nice, concise rally that lasted pretty close to, or a little, maybe even a little more than a month of duration. And the duration of this, well, December the 17th. So the 17th is tomorrow, a month in this downtrend. And in this such, and for the time on here, I guess I could start from this October 27th, so pretty much Halloween. And I'll go to this high here, December 13th, so all month and a half of the up move, and again giving half of its move back. Now, of course, the second one is resisting this level because, okay, so the 18 will flatten, that neutralizes the situation. It needs to really start to get to and above 1800 for this to even attempt to start to rally higher, and that's just keyword start attempt. The 18 lows comes in about 1588-ish area, so that's where in that must hold area for like this type of move. We'll see it more clearly on the shorter term. But as it plays out within this, if it's resistance and you see it weak, well then target level is obvious, piercing below 1293. So let's take a look at the shorter term and see what's going on with the hourly time frame. And we are seeing some good volume in here. This could be the highest volume we see. This could be a key high. We, at least on the hour, didn't find any resistance at this key point. It still can. I mean, oftentimes it pierces extra. That could be the pierce extra. Still, when I see something like this, it's one of those wait and see and keep on messaging, adjusting to the message of the market. We've obviously do have, as it plays out, just not even considering that, the Fibonacci level, that is. We're starting in here, within this period. That's when it started, this break. And at the time, when it did it, what was the volume? Did it show anything significant? No, not really to me. I mean, this is nothing too fantastic compared to all the other bumps. So this is okay. But the move, okay, you have a nice little break. And if we look at it period by period, coming back, must hold areas right in here. You'd be thinking, how do we adjust to the message? Well, now as we adjust to the message of the market, we had this wild, this is ready to go. You have this big move. Maybe that correction is over and you see this little inside period, then obviously it goes higher. That does tell you continuation of the trend is very likely. So you see just this pattern in itself comes in. Oh, now we're approaching this level, and we'll see this again when we go to the shorter term. I haven't seen it yet, as again I'm just taking a look at this for the first time. I don't even really know what Bitcoin is. I haven't looked at it since, well, this morning. But we'll take a look at that next, I suppose. But here we have it, just not breaking and finding resistance here. So therefore, next, I mean, if you don't find resistance where you're supposed to have a concise and probably fast move to next key level. Just like way of saying things fast, like PREV. Like I'm thinking like a computer program. Like when you put codes for something, like PERV high for previous high, stuff like that. I often think like a computer that way. Anyway, 1979 key level usually appears as extra, probably 2000, probably even higher than that. If we don't find any resistance here, and that the verdict for that possibility is live. It's like the Tennessee Titans versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and I truly believe it's got a good chance of playing out either way. And I find that a very interesting matchup, actually, but that's a different subject. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's just go to the 4-minute time frame. And we have this interesting break, and where's the resistance here? Yeah, nothing. So on the most resistance we had was for seconds now. But what it did do after not resisting 1687 is in the span of 2 periods, it rallied up to 1764. 64 plus 13 is 77, so this is the math I do in my head. 16 times half of that is 80. That's like 5%, so that's an easy, fast way. I think it's 5%. 5% move in under 8 minutes. And how do we react to it after the fact? 2 okay red candles down and a mass inside move. Okay. Start to rally this back higher, but obviously this fails. It fails because it doesn't get to this high, and it goes to correctionary phase, and it makes a lower low to this one, but pretty much a matching low. And it's just luck, but it's an exact hit of this. Well, I can't say exact hit. It pierces extra 2 points. I mean, piercing extra, that's just yada yada nonsense. That's anyway. 1, 2, 3 periods here doing this in this 18 as it's still rising. Momentum is slowing, hasn't been completely lost, as you can see, because of that decent momentum. If you see, especially now, if this goes up to 1730, 1735, it could go up 10% in well less than 10 minutes. It could go up 30% in less than 30 minutes. That's the nature of the possibilities and possibilities. Or possibilities. Yeah. But then the same thing with breaking down below here. We've already tested this level of support. Here. Tested it here. Tested it here. That's like 3 tests already in this general area. Right now we can see it's been holding for 3 periods or so in here. So if it comes down to it, okay, who knows? It might not hold. And if it does hold, maybe it just bounces up to 1705. Then it comes down and it breaks. And then we're looking at this previous area where we came from at 1656. We're also looking at a previous area where we came from, breaking down below 1600 on the Satoshi level. 1 minute term. And now we can see resistance here. Time for 2 minutes. That's about it. It came up to it. We can see at 6:03 and 6:04 p.m. Eastern time. 3 o'clock, 3:04 California time. It didn't stop going up. Well, it did for that 2 minutes, but it didn't go down. And there's a recovery on this one. Not much, but it survives this down move. And as I state, when a move is below the 18 and you barely get above it, well, at least what you can do is flatten out the 18 average. And in that, let's do I used to do in school, a check mark. You got that right. It's successfully corrected through time. And where's my delete button? I'll have to push the undo because that's just a check mark. There we go. So it has now corrected this for several minutes in a row. Relatively, it's showing more strength on the highs than it is the lows. We can see the curvature of the 18 average of lows starting to rise. Hasn't touched it in a couple of periods. It is now 2 periods in a row before this, barely extended above it. And now for this one, halfway through, well, it looks like it wants to have a breakout excitation stage. This looks very live as I'm looking at it at this point, like, oh, buy it now kind of deal, or at least be ready to buy it now. For if you can get in quick enough, if you see this rallying up to 17, for example, this is where I'd put like an order, I'd think automatically. If there's somebody who's willing to, how do I want to look at, where I want to buy this at 17.24, but only when the bid price, something like that, when I get a confirmation level. But the strength of this is good. I just want to get in the quickest way I possibly could. If I was to play this way, and I'm not, if I see it starting to break, that's what I'm looking at when I see a setup like this on the 1 minute term time frame, because it looks pretty cool. Anyway, I don't got the time to just, this could take 6-7 minutes. This could happen immediately. I'm just going to look back at it and now go to Bitcoin, because how much time are we in? Already in the 11-minute mark. Wow. And as I'm looking to just go over to it, it looks like it's just ready to go. It's just one of those patterns that looks good. But anyway, Bitcoin. And we can see here on the 1 minute time frame that I probably don't want to cover this, and I'll just maybe go to the hourly and see what happens on this one. Okay. I mean, 2 periods in a row, looking pretty good actually. Same sort of deal as I just showed in the last minute time frame on Tezos. It looks early. It's only 2 periods now playing this nice strength on the highs. You can see again the curvature on the lows starting to rise nicely. We had this level of support tested around 3 times, 3 different times. The first time here, and then 2 times on this one. Once here. The 18 has obviously been holding, and it's been in this longer sideways consolidation. We have this little level here. And there were several times it established a resistance hit here, 2, 3, and 4. However, the latest resistance has been lower. And right now we're showing the strength that it's looking to get past it, which makes it obvious to where next key level is. That's where we came from. Like I said, pre-high, like a computer code. It would be right in here. And in situations and such, well, we've been in an uptrend. So therefore, if we get to this point, it looks like a probable stage to me that it's going to have a leg higher. And usually it's going to be noticeably higher than this. I talk about the Three Bears book that I used to read and as a child. And, well, that's not too small, not too big, but just right. And another way of putting it is, a lot of times, especially I think with Bitcoin, that's where you just don't get the small moves. It's not just going to have resistance here. If it is, that's a failed breakout spot that would happen. You always have a significant place, sort of like just showing here. You break this level of resistance, so that's a good size move kind of deal. And as we've seen that on the hourly, if it's ready to break out, well, here we had a great up day. How do we react from the January 14th rally? Pause day, and then another pause day. Okay, so just because it hasn't hit the 18, it hasn't came back to where we came from, and I don't count that pierce above. I mean, really coming back is really in the range of down to here. So the fact that it's above that range, I'm totally not counting that. That's not even a pierce above, albeit close. Still, 2 days. If it breaks out from here, well, where did we come from before? Well, now we talk about this previous high. And I got Fibonacci actually right around the 96, 98 area. I think it's 98.30, 98.31. I'm curious how poor or good my memory is. So let's take a look. 98.31. Not even close. 98.14. That would be one of those next key levels. We take a look at this on the weekly. I know not. This is why I don't like to use this, because these lines kind of get in the way a little bit, but not really. I do see here that it is attempting an exitation of this 18. Last period was an attempt to flatten out the band, and so that to me so far, I mean, holding 73.69 area is important, but that's what it would need to continue to do to at least do that, and even really piercing below is fine as well. But it needs to pierce well below for us to not, and then it needs to pierce well above this to attempt to resume this bull market rally from after making, if it could make a higher low here, that's resumption, and then you're talking again about making a match to this point in here. And now let's talk about two formations. One is going to be called the cup and handle formation, and one's going to be the inverted head and shoulders formation. And whenever you have a situation when you have a very good rally, thus you make a very good higher low, which is required for the cup and handle. And then really, it's a dysfunctional cup if you look at it this way, but the whole point of it is you make a good higher low, you get up to the neckline area or previous high. One, it didn't take as much of a rally to go from point low to point high compared to point low to the exact same point high. So the fact that it can have continued rally and good movement higher should not be a surprise. And thus bullish statements in that type of form there. Now we'll talk about the inverted head and shoulders pattern. Because if we resist, let's go back, let's do a 3-day for this maybe. If we resist 98.14, and say we pull back and we hold that must hold area, which would be coinciding within this 18, it would be this previous level of resistance, it would be about 7,800. And then it starts to rally back up. Well, because I want to draw again, let's do it this way. You'd have a pattern, something like, say it comes up in here, down, and then that. And then everyone would be talking about it. It'd be on every social media blog, Twitter, yada, yada, yada. It'd be on even CNBC maybe, and then now everybody knows it. And then it's just going to boom, shoot up to this fast, not find much resistance, shoot up here fast. And then if that were to happen, and that's a realistic situation, then, well, I don't want to talk about that right now. Anyway, let's take a look at Tezos. And let's see if we can find it, because XTZ. It's only up 2%. New day. Okay. And it's not wrestling. It's literally a new day on the exchange. And there's a character and group called the New Day. It is 17 or 7 hours, 7 p.m., 7:17 p.m. now as I'm doing this. Oh, really? I mean, who would have thought that they would have just, like, done that? I mean, really? That's a surprise. Anyway, previous high was a range between 1749 and 1764. That's right in the middle of it. Yada, 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 just doing it sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just, some people come out and say technical analysis things just don't work. Well, we can see here that sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But like I say a lot of times, it's just like with Fibonacci, it's just luck actually that I said it looked like it was a good breakout spot and something like that would have happened along the way. Let's see what else is there to talk. I mean, there's nothing else really to say. I mean, I guess there is. Like, now that we're here, this is that spot of weak resistance. And I don't know, this is wild card. I don't know, we could just break out big from here. We could just grind it and just stabilize through time. The must hold area for this time frame is obviously the key area for this. It's already a decent enough gain where I probably want the 4-minute term time frame to be where I'd want to hold within the 18. And then you can just see, oh, the excitation here. This looks like so bullishly strong. Okay, what else is there to talk about? Atom, that was, it actually was like 6,000. I mean, this is a pretty decent setup on the 4-minuter. Daily time frame, I mean, nice little correctionary move in here, and this is like one of the best it's had from this rally. You have this key one, this has been one of the better ones, but it's already, I mean, only one extra little move in here, so it goes down once, comes up to the 18, retests the low for a couple of days, takes 1 or 2 days within this highs, and now it's like breaking out, yada yada. Nice little fun stuff there. What else do we have here? Bitcoin, Dash. I mean, that's been like one of my topic ones lately, but it's not doing much of a retracement though. I've been hoping for more. I mean, we can see it hasn't even touched the 1273 handle, and you talk about a pause day. The high for today, well, of the Thursday session, was 1,000. We'll say 1,522, and a low of almost a little over 13, under 13, 3 1/4. So I take 129 is 10%. So that's pretty decent volatility just for a pause day. After all, yesterday's volatility, it was a 50% up day as it was, and it was a little bit higher on its move. On the short term, momentum is close to being finished. Close. I mean, we've had a lot of 18 strength here, and this is an interesting aspect now that we look at it, adjusting to the message of the market. For before this hour, things were looking pretty fantastic. I mean, this setup was looking nice. It still has to fail this 18 test, and it could very easily succeed it. But what I have noticed is that when a good setup turns sour, so can the next move, meaning a fast move, probably quick to this 12. This number here would probably be this, and you might even go down to here and have it's more longer term. It might have a move that comes down to maybe the 18 average, and it could lose like 20-30% in like a day, and we have that as a possibility. Now that is an unlikely event, I still thinking, when solely just looking at its possibility, or you're looking at one of its more extreme measures, meaning a fast move to 12,373. I would not be surprised to be a hold as well. And then maybe we just consolidate in a range like this, as we've established resistance already. Now we'll be in this range of 1444 handle, up to a twice hit level of about 15 and 2/3, 15 and 3/4. And now we've established support here, and Fibonacci we have at 1237. So it makes sense that if it were to come down here, okay, we now be establishing a range. So there's the low end, there's the high end, and we'll see how we go from here. That's a common thing to happen within moves like that, is it's just going to go neutral, and that's most likely the range it would go in. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.